Hi, I'm Jacqueline Snyder, and this is the Product Boss Podcast. I've helped launch and grow thousands of product-based businesses, even one of my own. And over the last 20 years, I've seen behind the scenes of businesses just like yours. Whether they are makers, manufacturers, artists, or food and beverage businesses, I have spent so many hours studying it all. I've discovered what makes them successful, what mistakes they could have avoided, how did they turn their ideas into a successful business, and what are the strategies that they have used to make more sales and be discovered by more customers. And this is what this show is all about. Whether you're just starting out or you're looking to become $1 million product boss, I'm here to give you the permission to chase your dreams, no matter how big or small. All you need is the right mindset, a little courage, strategy, and support, and you too can be the next $1 million product boss. Let's do this. Hey, product boss, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you're struggling and spinning your wheels trying to grow your business online? I know. It can be so frustrating. I went through it with my own product-based business, and I know that you're dealing with so much, like managing inventory, to shipping, to making all your products, to creating, to marketing, all the things, right? I know you're wearing all the hats and you're worried about so many different things. And I need to tell you something. Your website doesn't need to be another thing to worry about. So that's where Shopify comes in. Now, listen, Shopify isn't just a website builder. When I started my business back in the day, I mean, there were just website builders. No, Shopify is amazing. I wish I had it. It's our go-to and number one e-commerce platform built to make running your product-based business even easier. So whether you're selling handmade jewelry, organic skincare, delicious treats, you might be a manufacturer, it doesn't matter what you're doing, because this is the deal. Shopify is going to give you the tools to showcase your products beautifully, to manage inventory seamlessly, and to connect with your customers around the world. Because listen, customers need a good experience, right? It's all about the user experience. And that's why I'm so obsessed with Shopify, because you don't need the tech skills required to create this amazing, seamless customer experience. So with features like automatic payment processing and one-click checkout, Shopify will actually help you focus on scaling your business and not having to worry about all the techie things that come with building a site, and a site that converts really well. So my friend, if you're ready to make selling your products online easier, you can grab your free trial of Shopify today at theproductboss.com/Shopify. That's theproductboss.com/Shopify. Now let's jump into the show. Hey, product boss, and welcome to another episode of the Product Boss Podcast. And today we're going to dig into a topic that gets brought up a lot. Now, if you are a product-based business owner, you're an entrepreneur, and you've hit that six-figure mark, maybe your business has finally crossed that $100,000 threshold. Perhaps you're making multiple six figures, you're on your way to $1 million, maybe even past that. Or you haven't hit that six-figure mark yet, right? That coveted $100,000 business, but you might be afraid of growing your business to that because you feel like, and the way that you're growing your business right now is that if I do, my business will break. Or if I grow my business to 100,000, 200,000, $500,000 and beyond, I won't be able to do that without feeling overworked, losing control, or even sacrificing the quality of the products I create, right? You might not even see a path there. And what I want to dig into today in this episode is talking about how you can grow and scale your business without working 24/7. Right? Sounds good? All right. So we're going to jump in today. Now, if you have not followed the show yet, would you mind following the show? Just put a pause, follow the show. So making sure that you get all of the episodes that we drop every week. We drop 2 episodes a week. And I just want to make sure that you feel fully supported. That is my intention on this podcast, is to reach out to as many product-based business owners around the world, people who make stuff and sell it, and they want to make good money. And I want you to feel supported and not feel alone. Because honestly, for so many years, I felt alone. I felt so alone in business. In fact, I was in business for a decade by myself as a product boss, making products, right? I was in the fashion industry. I was making clothes for other people. I had 2 of my own different companies. I had Lily Mark, which was a dress collection. I don't talk about it that often. It's a bit smaller, and I sold the trademark for more than I ever sold in the company. But then I also built Cuffs Couture, which was my fashionable wrist wallet that was an invention in the way of the use of the product. And it was sold worldwide, and celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Carrie Underwood wore it. And I really grew that business. And if you've been to any of my trainings, you've kind of heard the story of Cuffs Couture. And the thing is that as I was growing it and as I was on my way to my first $100,000, and I talk about the steps that I took there, which was really this idea of setting up a foundation, right? Setting up a business that had a solid foundation underneath it so that I could grow, right? So that if I ended up making it rain, if, the sales started coming in, I had buckets to catch it, right? I had a strong foundation that I was building my business upon. I knew the different pillars that needed to be established and I created those. And then from there, I also figured out, great, now I'm established, right? I have a solid brand. I know how I'm making and manufacturing this product. I know how I'm going to market it and sell it. The next step for me was scaling it, which was the concept that I teach about multiple sales channels, where I really established a really strong direct to consumer sales channel, how I was reaching my customers. Even though I built my own website, the fastest way there was in person at in person markets. And then I added on an additional sales channel, one that was a scalable sales channel where I didn't have to sell every single piece of the stuff I had to sell. And that was wholesale. So here I am growing this business. I hit that coveted $100,000. And then I'm trying to get to the next 100,000 and the next 100,000, right? I wanted to get it to $500,000. That was like my next goal. But the thing is that I could not do it until I figured out how to grow my business on a stable foundation, right? I couldn't do it. So if you are out there and you're listening and you're like, either you're just about to cross that 6 figure mark, maybe you have crossed that 6 figure mark. I want to tell you in this episode, we're going to talk about things that you might resonate with, right? You might be feeling like you're growing a business on a very unstable foundation. As Julie Ross says she feels like she's building a castle on IKEA furniture and she's got screws left over. Or maybe you've built a successful business, but you feel like you're working harder than ever just to maintain it. I know that I did. I know that I was working later than anyone that was there to help me. I know I was missing dinners with my family, conflict with my husband because he's like, you said you're going to be home. And I'm like, I still have to cut out this fabric. So there was that. This is also, something I want you to consider because maybe you feel stuck. I know a lot of people that start to hit that 6 figure mark or beyond, they feel stuck, like they've hit a ceiling and they don't know how to grow more without adding more stress, without doing more. A lot of times we think we have to do more. And you might also feel like you have to manage every single part of your business because I know, trust me, I was once an addict of control, is that I felt like if I didn't control every part, I had this fear that if I grew, I'd actually lose control of my business. Only I could do it, right? Only I was the person for that. So the thing is that what I know that most of you want is you want to build businesses that work for you, not the other way around. I know in my heart that you want the financial freedom and the time freedom. That's why you started your own business, right? That's why you've created this thing, not to work for someone else, not to build someone else's dream, but to build your own. But sometimes we feel stuck because who has taught us how to grow a 6 figure, multi 6 figure, $1 million business? We're really figuring it out as we go. So I know another thing that I used to feel in my business was that I felt like I was wearing all the hats. Anyone else? Like I might as well have sold hats because I was wearing literally all of them. I was doing every part of my business from marketing and production, right? Cutting. I wasn't the maker, I was a manufacturer. Or I took it to manufacturers to get it made, but it was exhausting nonetheless. There was still all this work I had to do. And the other thing is like I kind of hit a plateau. At some point, I hit a 6 figure plateau, I think around the $100,000 mark, where I was like, I keep doing it like this, but why am I not growing? What do I have to do next? And I was afraid to keep growing because I didn't know what I didn't know what to do. So I know that I felt super burnt out. I knew that I felt like I didn't have the solid foundation beneath me. And I was afraid, I knew I worked really hard to build this business, but I was afraid that one wrong move would bring the whole thing down, right? Not having systems, not knowing how to be a boss, not knowing how to scale this business. And I really felt like I was running on the edge, and any misstep in my production and sales and my marketing could create like an absolute disaster. So I know how I felt and how you might feel too is that you want to grow, you want to scale your business, but it might feel like you're adding more complexity, right? And it just might break everything apart. And I've got to be honest, this is, this year inside of my masterminds, I've had the opportunity to work with two people who have been on Shark Tank. Okay. One that's aired, one that has not aired yet. And the first one, when it was airing and she was in my mastermind with me, it was this idea of holy moly, it's going to rain down, right? We're going to get the marketing. Whether or not they ever got funded or not funded, they were going to be on Shark Tank. And all we did was work on the systems. We worked on making sure that we could fulfill the orders that we knew were inevitably coming. And things just kept breaking and breaking and breaking because no one is really meant to grow that fast. So by working on these things and establishing that solid foundation, right? And growing at a pace that feels comfortable, uncomfortable, but also knowing that you're setting yourself up for the future, for an opportunity that comes around. The idea there is that we want to do this before the opportunity is there, right? We want to establish this really strong foundation. That's what I did with one of my masterminders. And then the next masterminder that came, same thing. It was like, what do we need to do next? So I've had, and I've worked with probably in the hundreds of people that might just be like you. So I remember Chelsea and John, they were at Dome Doc. You might have heard them in the past on the podcast, and they were growing so fast. So they reinvented the hat rack, right? It's called the hat rack reinvented. And I remember they were on Etsy first, and John was always making and carving the wood because they were doing wood versions of this until they started manufacturing at scale. And Chelsea was always working on marketing and sales. And they felt like they did not know how they could keep growing at the pace and not break, right? But working with me, they joined a 3-month mastermind that I had, which is similar to the Design to Scale lab that I'm offering now, which was this idea of 3 months to really solidify the foundations to figure out what was going. And what was crazy about them, and they've been on the podcast talking about this, is that they made $1.2 million in their first 10 months of business without breaking. And then the second year, they hit multiple millions, right? And then I got an update from them recently that was like, in just 2 years, they only work 3 to 5 hours a week because they built a business that could operate without them. Now, they have a fantastic business, a fantastic model, but I remember it so clearly the day that I hopped on a call with them to see if the 3-month mastermind, right? It was like our mini mind, our mini mastermind. It's very much like the Design to Scale lab, if that was right for them. And I remember they thought they were telling me like they had a Kickstarter, the money was coming in, they had to go into manufacturing, but they just didn't know what they didn't know. Then look at the results, right? So my hope for you in this episode is that if I can show you that refining and optimizing your current processes, what you're already doing without adding more complexity is the key to scaling your business. And when you realize that, you're going to realize that scaling your business is not just possible, but it's inevitable. Because the truth is that scaling doesn't mean that you have to do more, right? We're always like doing more. I was like, if I did more, if I did more, it's that doer mentality. It's actually sometimes looking at refining what's already working and amplifying that. And you might have heard me on some episodes lately where I'm coaching people, and I laugh because I'm like, you came in with the question, you thought, well, should I do this? And should I do this? And should I do this? And some of the coaching from my entrepreneurs, the product bosses that are in the 6-figure, multi 6, 7, is actually no, it's not always about doing more. It's about refining what's working and doing better at that, right? We don't need to keep coming up with new things. So I want to talk about three different topics that we're going to cover in this episode. Okay. The first thing is this surprising method that I've seen successful entrepreneurs do, and they use it to scale faster without adding more work, and really digging into why doing more might actually be keeping you stuck. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is this mindset shift, right? It's a mindset shift that could be stopping you from growing this highly profitable business that you really, really want. And I want to talk about a change that you can do to unlock your potential, right? Like what is actually possible for you. And then the third thing I want to talk about is how $1 million businesses are able to grow, right? They can grow their profits without adding more time, without needing more money or resources, and how you can actually apply the strategy too. Sound good? I hope it sounds good to you, because this is exactly what I had to do. This is where I was, right? I had grown my business, but I was working all the time, burning out, in conflict with my husband. I was missing family dinners. I kept saying I'll be home soon, but work never ended. And despite everything I was doing, okay, even despite trying to grow my business to $500,000, I was only paying myself $50,000. And in fact, I was sinking into debt, right? So what do you do? And I know, and tell me if you've had this idea, like you can message me on Instagram. I remember thinking, if I just got a regular job, I could make the same amount of money, right? I could make $50,000 working at a retail shop, and I'd have so much less stress. So I really knew at this point, like I needed to make a change, right? I didn't know how, but I needed to make a change. So here's the truth, my friends. What I want to tell you is that the truth is that scaling, growing your business doesn't mean doing more. It means that I want you to refine what's already working and amplifying it. So here's the deal. The key to breaking through that revenue plateau is to stop doing everything and to focus on a few critical areas that drive growth and profitability. What I got to help me at this stage was coaching. You've heard me talk about my coaches and the masterminds I've been a part of. I started to establish systems instead of flying by the seat of my pants, and support, because truthfully, my husband couldn't be the support for everything that I needed. I needed support from people who knew what they were doing. I needed support from other women in business at my level, right? It wasn't about reinventing anything. It wasn't like I'm going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It was about refining what I was doing, like what's working and what can I do more of. right? So for me, I started to participate in a lot of groups. I was like, I can't believe I'm going to debt. I can't believe I'm still not paying myself a six-figure salary. I can't believe I'm doing all of these things. And so I started to figure out, I started to look at successful business owners. I started to pay attention. I was like, what are they actually doing? And when I figured this out, I started to make more money and I was working fewer hours. I got out of debt and I paid myself more. And I realized it wasn't doing more. In fact, I was able to be with my family. I was able to get out of the weeds and focus on strategy. And I was able to grow. What I now have is businesses that have multiple millions of dollars in revenue. And I take vacations with my family. And I work when I want. I mean, sometimes I work a lot, but I do still get to choose when I work. And so what I really need to do is I needed to step into this role of like boss of my business, right? The boss of my business. Sometimes we'll call that the CEO of your business because that's the level up. That's the level up that we're looking for. So, the first thing I want you to think about is, and here's what I want you to realize, and it's a surprising method as I was studying it and studying all the students I've worked with and everything that I did was there was a surprising method that I saw that these business owners did to grow faster without adding more work. So here's what I saw. This is what I did. This is what I've taught countless students in my mastermind is that you don't need more products. And you also sometimes don't need more marketing and sales channels. Because at this point, if you're in six figures, multi six figure seven, you might have already established the products that are selling well and marketing and sales channels that are doing well for you too. So initially to break through without breaking, but to break through, you want to focus on what's driving the majority of your revenue and double down on that. Okay. It's about doing less, but doing it better. And most business owners believe that in order to grow that they need to do more, right? They need to launch more products, new products, all the things. They need more channels and more channels and more channels, and they need to spend more time on marketing, right? Or spend more on marketing, even like how much they're spending. So what I've seen is that the fastest growing businesses scale by doing less. They focus on a few things that bring in the most revenue. And you've heard us talk about this. You've heard us talk about the bestseller, your hero product, your core collection. And I'll bring it up again. The Pareto principle of the 80-20 rule is that 80% of your revenue can come from 20% of your product. 80% of your revenue can come from 20% of your products. I just had a conversation with a woman who grew her soap business to $12 million. Okay. She grew her soap business to $12 million. And she was telling me how she could have sold the business for about $100 million. So let's just say that the advice is spot on. And she has some friends in a mastermind that she's in at that level that were saying the way right now, the way that people are seeing the most success is leaning into being known for something, to lean into less products, right? To be known for the products. This Pareto principle, 20% of your products are going to yield 80% of your revenue. So if this $12 million company who works with these are 8-figure businesses, is telling me this, and I've been telling all of you this on the podcast and in the challenges for so long, I got to tell you, we're spot on, right? I just validated it this weekend in this group that I'm in. So here's why refining what you do is helpful. It helps you grow faster and smarter. It doesn't add complexity because you don't have time for that. A lot of people think that growing and scaling means that you have to do more, but it's actually focusing on your profitable and most high performing products. Because the deal is like when you expand too quickly, this is where the overwhelm, the loss of control, the inefficiencies, like adding new things is just so inefficient. So I think you've heard me talk about this student before, but I'll kind of talk about it generally. But I had a masterminder who had a jewelry company, and you can actually hear my jewelry clinking around. Okay. It's like ASMR over here. I'm wearing the jewelry. So I had a student that was in my mastermind who was started off in my 3-month mastermind, and she had a bunch of jewelry. Now she started being known for her bracelets, but she decided, as most of us do, well, if I'm doing bracelets, I could do earrings and necklaces and rings and all the things. And so she came and she was a $500,000 company, or maybe $750,000 company. She'd already been growing because she was selling real fine jewelry, right? So the price point was higher anyways. And she's like, but I want to grow and I want to grow to $1 million. So by doing this one thing in 6 months, she grew her business to $1 million. So what did she do? She decided to focus on the reason she started, her bestseller, which were the bracelets. She didn't completely get rid of the rings and the earrings and the necklaces and all the things, but she stopped focusing on them. She stopped creating more and more and more of those and trying to market and sell those. So by simplifying her product line in 6 months, she had $1 million without the overwhelm of new product development and product launches. By the end of that year, she was at like $2.5 million. Now, multiple millions later, really well known for this product. So I want you to ask yourself, what products bring in the most revenue for you, right? What products sell the most consistently and what products have the highest margins? Because when you start to focus on your top performers, you, my friend, because we know we're all squirrels, we're visionaries and squirrels. And we're like, over there, right? But you're going to eliminate those distractions and double down on what's working. And that's what I really want you to do. Because when you do that, when you refine the product offering, we go back in and we look at it and we refine it, then it makes your marketing and your sales easier. This is where we refine that. And when we focus on the channels that are already bringing in the most revenue and we double down on that instead of trying to add all these unproven tactics, that's when we start to see the real growth. Okay. And so this is something that is really important to think about because there's a financial impact to this. A lot of times you're not able to grow past this plateau because there's like a profitability issue. So when you refine your products, you're going to reduce your costs, right? You're going to lower your inventory that you have to hold, your production time, you get better at production, and your customer support issues. It just gets easier. And this way, when you're really starting to refine it, your profit margins go up, which means more cash in your pocket, more money to reinvest into the business. It all just starts to feel like it's working and getting easier. I had this other student, she makes caramels. I have to say it that right, caramels. And she was making close to like $900,000 worth of caramels. But at the same time, she was sleeping in her kitchen, especially in Q4 during the holiday season. She was literally hand making all of these caramels. And she was so overwhelmed by the demand and she couldn't keep up. She couldn't keep up with wholesale and she couldn't keep up with her direct to consumer. So what we ended up doing is we worked on improving her operations, right? We made it more efficient. We refined her production. I supported her in helping her hire 2 cooks so she didn't have to cook everything because guess what? Is Jeff Bezos shipping out everything at Amazon? No. Is Sarah Blakely shipping out her sneaks? No. Or hand sewing her sneaks? No. She's doing the $4 tasks. She's doing the stuff that you as the boss of your business and the CEO should be doing. So instead, this student worked on her systems and she got her business to run without her. And so fortunate because she ended up being diagnosed with cancer. And as far as I know right now, she's well and healthy. But when she was diagnosed, she had to take care of herself. And so thank goodness she was not in the kitchen and that her business didn't require her for production, that she could heal and take care of herself and go through that entire journey while her business could run without her. So thank goodness we did it. And we did it when we did. And the other part that I think a lot of people miss and a lot of people are afraid of is hiring. I know you're like, oh my God, I can't. I could barely, but you can't do it all. There's no way. I know if you're a 6-figure business, you want to hit multi-six, you want to hit that first million, there's no way you can do it all by yourself. You're not meant to do it by yourself. So when we're thinking about your operations and your team, you want to think about how do I optimize this? How do I simplify this? If I have production, what do I do to improve my production? You're at this amazing spot right now where you get to think about how do I improve my production where I have to put in less effort? You also get to hire to reduce bottlenecks, whether you're hiring out for a contractor, you're hiring your first employee, you're taking on systems or software systems, right? Or there's just other ways you can delegate in different ways that you can hire for ways to free you up from being involved in every single task in your business. Because I'm going to tell you again, if you feel like you cannot grow and you feel like you're the bottleneck, you're not going to be able to get out of that without starting to create systems and figuring out what can I do, delete, delegate, automate, right? We gave away that a few episodes back. We gave away a audit form for you to audit yourself. Because at this point, and at the 6-figure, multi 6 to 7 figures, you want to refine your business structure and you want to make sure you've got operations that can handle your growth. If you're gonna grow, can we grow it? Right? Hey, friend, I'm just going to jump in and interrupt the show for a real quick second because I want to talk about the side of your product based business that nobody loves. I know, tracking inventory, right? Managing all the costs of what inventory you need, when you need it, and trying to stay organized while you blend it all together. And if this feels like it's resonating with you, I have a solution for you. It's something I wish I had instead of literally printing out Excel sheets and trying to write it all down back in my day. Back in my day, right? So the solution for you, my friend, is CraftyBase. CraftyBase is the inventory management, bookkeeping, and production software built specifically for product-based business owners like you. And with CraftyBase, you can track your raw materials, components, and finished products in real time. So you'll never run out of stock or overorder supplies again. And it even calculates your cost of goods sold automatically, right? It monitors your expenses and it helps you keep an eye on those all important profit margins so you can grow your business. Because remember, I want you to be a profitable product boss. So if you're ready to feel organized, in control, and never run out of your best-selling inventory again, then head to theproductboss.com/CraftyBase and we've hooked you up to receive a 14-day free trial to try CraftyBase today. Again, that's theproductboss.com/CraftyBase. Hey friends, are you unsure of what to say on social media or what to even send in your weekly emails? Well, what if creating content could be easy? Would you be looking for a shortcut to creating consistent content? Yes, consistent content, because you know consistency is key. Well, let me tell you, you are not alone when you feel like you're struggling on what to post or what to write in emails. And we know that you have that product part of your business down. But as you're listening to this podcast, you probably already know that to get more people to your products, to buy your products, you need to create great content. Oh, I know. I keep saying content, and that's the dreaded C word. And we can't tell you how many product bosses tell us that they want to create great content for their audience and their customers, but they don't know what to say, or they are so busy they can't find the time, or they really, really, really don't want to be the face of their brand. Well, no worries, because that's exactly why we created a year of content. It is your shortcut to creating consistent content that resonates with your audience and brings more loyal customers who can't wait to buy your products. If you want to see how easy this is and how easy it is to create content for your audience and your customers, head to www.ayearofcontent.com. So, what I really want you to do is I want you to look at your business right now. And I want you to think to yourself, where am I overcomplicating things? And then dig a little deeper and think about which products or maybe processes or marketing channels can you simplify and streamline to free up that time, right? And how do you increase your profitability? Because the deal here is that if you don't refine and simplify, you are going to stay stuck, right? This is where you're going to feel stuck, overworking, feeling overwhelmed, and unable to scale and get the profit that you're looking for. Because refinement isn't about doing less work, it's about doing the right work. Do you need me to say that again? Okay. Refinement isn't about doing less work, it's about doing the right work. So when you simplify, you're going to free up your time. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have the resources to focus on what really matters. This is where the profit comes. I hope that this is making sense to you because it's just so key and core to the stuff that you really want to think about. So, another thing I think that gets in the way of product bosses, like in the six-figure mark, getting to multi-six and growing beyond to seven figures, is mindset. You know, I talk about mindset all the time. And I think this is the biggest unlock for me. And one of the biggest things that we have to overcome. And listen, if you haven't hit six figures yet and you want to get there, heads up, ears up, listen to this too. To scale your business, you need to make this shift, okay? And here's the shift from being the doer of everything to becoming the leader, the CEO, the boss of your business who is able to lead the growth. Does that make sense? Because I know a lot of you believe that, like, you can't grow your business because no one else can do it as well as you can, right? Or you feel like you need to be in control of every aspect of your business, or you're afraid that scaling is going to lose control of your quality. But again, it's not doing more yourself. It's about letting go and trusting others to handle those tasks. Yeah, they might mess up, but that's okay. We've messed up plenty along the way. Plenty, plenty. So where can you do the things only you can do and then delegate other responsibilities or stop doing things or automate certain things, right? There's so many softwares. I wish I had these softwares when I was younger. Younger. Oh my God. Back in my day when I was running my business, like I didn't have every tool that you have because we ultimately need to free up your time. You cannot be the bottleneck. And for me, I was the bottleneck. I was just like you. I was doing everything by myself. I thought if I didn't do it, nobody could do it. Right. But that mindset kept me stuck. And so, how did I get over it? Well, I remember a client of mine told me about, she's like, have you ever listened to business podcasts? I was like, no, what are those? Listen to podcasts. Found a podcast that really resonated with me. It was like six-figure entrepreneur women and decided to listen to that podcast. And then I remember her mentioning on the podcast that she had a mastermind. And I was like, what is this? What is a mastermind? Right. And then I went and joined that. And then I coached with her one-on-one. And that was my biggest unlock. That's when I went from, struggling and in debt to highly profitable and actually simplifying and making my business easier. And the women that I became friends with in that group are still my friends. They're still, I would say, like my virtual colleagues out there, that one of them has an HR company and I hired her to hire 3 people for my team this year. Another one has a Disney travel company and I worked with her to book our Disney cruise that we went on some years back, and then called her up recently and I was like, hey, any hookups in, Tokyo Disney? No, because it's run by the government, but I was able to call her, right? So the thing is what I want you to think about is I want you to ask yourself, what tasks are you holding on to that someone else can be doing for you? I also want you to ask yourself, what's preventing you from trusting others to handle these tasks? And maybe even like, what can you just stop doing? Think about that. I want you to think, what if I stopped doing it? Would my business crash? There are some things that you would discover and be like, oh, I've been doing that for too long. Because my friend, your job at this level in your business is to lead, to set the vision, to drive the strategy in your company, and not to manage every single detail, right? Because if you're always putting out fires on everything, right, that's going to keep you out of the role of what we really need you to do. Okay. Because you are a genius. You already came up with this business. You've already done so well at what you're doing, right? And so you are one of the few. So I want you to repeat after me. Ready for this? Are you ready for it? Okay. Repeat. I am letting go of the belief that I have to do it all. I'm letting go of the belief that I have to do it all. And when you can let go of that, you're going to realize that you can build a business that is six figures, multi six. You can get to that $1 million level that you want to get to with the profitability without you having to put in more time, more money, more resources, all of these things that are going to feel like they're really draining you, because I know you can feel drained. So, what I want you to think about for yourself, and you'll hear me talk about multi-stream machine a lot. And when you're starting to build your business, when you're starting to get it to six figures, getting your sellable product, right? Finding your best seller or your hero product, your core collection, you find that, you get that information, you figure out your sellable product, you figure out how you're going to make it and be profitable, what kind of brand you're going to build, how to sell it and market it. And you think about adding on multiple sales channels, right? And you start to work with organic marketing, right? That's what we have to do. But my friends, after you hit six figures, this is when we have to start to focus. It's not about doing more and more and more and more. It's optimizing what's already working, getting more efficient, better profitability. So, something that I work on, and we're going to work on this in the Design to Scale Lab, and we also work on this inside of my Inner Circle Mastermind, is we start to audit. We start to look at our businesses and think like, which sales channels are generating the most revenue and are the least complex. We also then look at our sales channels and start to think which are draining our resources, like which are just not having the benefit. And we focus on making the ones that are working well better and higher profit. So, the deal here is that if you keep trying to grow your business by adding new sales channels, new products, new marketing, blah, 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 you just keep adding and adding and adding. What got you here is not what's going to get you to that next level. At this point now, on that six figure multi six on your way to seven, you're actually creating inefficiencies and you're diluting your efforts. So I want you to optimize what you sell, what you already have, what's scalable, what's sustainable. This is where we focus. This is where we double down. Right? This is where we look at our customer's journey and we think like, how can I squeeze more out of that customer? If the customer's already buying, how can I get them to come back and buy again? How do I have customer retention? What's my post purchase, right? It's all this other stuff. And truthfully, and I know this is like where it gets a little, your key performance indicators. You know more about your business. You actually know your numbers. And we have a motto here at the Product Boss that's simplicity simply scales. We ask ourselves, how can we make it simpler? So that's something I want you to ask yourself. I want you to ask yourself, how can I make this simpler? And do I know how? Because what I know and what I want you to imagine for yourself for a moment is that you can build $1 million business and still have the life you want, right? That dream life. I want you to think that you actually can replace yourself in any aspect of your business, including design and development. I got to be honest, like that's what I was told as a designer. They're like, yeah, like everyone's replaceable. And yes, completely replaceable. Look at any big company, right? Gucci, Louis Vuitton, the people, the namesakes, they're not still designing their stuff. Other people are designing for them. So technically, you can replace yourself in any aspect. But the goal here is that you do only what you want to do in your business. That is the ultimate goal. You get to do what you want and not do the other things. I also want you to realize that you can't hit this six figure, multi six, seven figure without burning out. There's seasons of feeling burnt out coming out of the holidays. It is a busy, busy season, but I've had two students right now. One's in my Design to Scale Lab, one's in my Inner Circle Mastermind. Two of them have said to me that one was like, this is the first year I didn't cry because I had the systems in place. Like things just flowed better. Another person said to me, I've seen the gaps of where I'm spending time, and next year I will not do this again. And I see what I need to do so that I don't end up in this hustle. But she also realized that she is in a better place than she was last year. Every year we're working to get out of our own way, right? And a lot of that is changing our thoughts, which will ultimately change our lives. This is what's happened for me. And the only way that this happened for me was that I was surrounding myself with people who knew exactly where I was. And so the same for you. Like imagine hitting your first six figures, I think it's about 12% of women-owned businesses hit the six-figure mark. 2% hit $1 million. I want you to think about that for a sec. There are not a lot of groups out there, communities that are women at the level. And my goal in my life is to help all of you, everyone listening, hit whatever revenue level you want, but I want to get you to your first six figures. I want to get you to that $100,000 mark. And then that's a lot of you out there. And then those of you that have hit the 100,000, I want to help you scale that business so you don't feel stuck. I just got a message this morning from someone who's a multi-stream machine student. I got a message that she was always kind of stuck around the $100,000 mark. And just a simple mindset tweak, we did a one-day mastermind together, and a simple mindset tweak and me saying to her, like, I think you can hit $200,000 this year. She hit it with 20 days to go in the year. And I just got the message. She's like, I never thought I was going to do it. And I did it. Sometimes it's just having someone else believe in you. You can borrow me. I believe in you and I will believe in you until you believe in yourself. Right. And that's the whole goal here. I know that I always had my mom who had like such crazy belief in me. And she's like, whatever you do, I'm here to support you. And not all of us have that. And I would love to be that for you, that I believe in you and anything is possible for you for the things that you imagine for your life and that you want to do. Because I want you to realize that you can afford to invest in yourself and pay a team for help and reinvest in your company and save and buy yourself something pretty, right? You can have all of that. There is no reason you can't have exactly what you want. And my goal for you is in the future, you a year from now, let's say at the end of 2025 or 5 years from now, you look back and you remember the time that you changed it and you say to yourself, we did it, because you, my friend, are becoming the person you want to be right now. We are on the journey together. So if you've heard this and this has resonated with you in any way possible, right? If you're like, I now believe that either as I get to my six figures, it's possible to grow. So I'm not as afraid to trying to reach for that first six-figure mark. But if you've already crossed that six-figure mark, 100,000, multi-six, $1 million and beyond, if you are looking for support in 2025, we have just a couple spots left because I have some amazing, amazing women that have joined both of the groups that I've created. So just to quickly tell you, in case you're wondering, is that I have my Inner Circle Mastermind. You've heard me talk about it forever, right? And this is a fully supportive group. They have access to me, voice and text access to me. We meet twice a month. It's just a beautiful, beautiful group. And there's so much more to know about the Inner Circle Mastermind, but it's really that level up for business owners that are leveling up into really becoming the leaders in their business, really figuring out how they are from where they are to where they want to be, whether they're hitting their first million or multiple millions, because the growth trajectory and the things that happen there change, but a lot of it's mindset. But then as I was getting all the applications for the Inner Circle Mastermind this year, as we've been talking about it and we had the wait list and all the things, I got a ton of applications from those of you out there to join my Inner Circle Mastermind, but you weren't qualified yet because of the revenue level that I set to it. And there were so many people at 100,000, I'd say like 100 to 300-ish thousand, that wanted to work with me in my mastermind, but the mastermind was not built at that point for those of you at that level. So if you are making, in the lower six figures, which is still incredible, and you want support, what I ended up doing was, and I don't even know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but I created the Design to Scale app. So what that is it's a 3-month hybrid mastermind and coaching program. And I made that for those of you out there who are ready to scale your business without that overwhelm, right? No more doing it all. So I created this 3-month hybrid. And why I call it hybrid, we were going to call it a mini mind. It was like the one that John and Chelsea were in. It was 3 months. It's taking place the first quarter of the year to really establish that solid foundation that you're building on so that you can keep growing and not break. And then I added in the group coaching part to it because the other feedback I got at this level is that a lot of you don't know how to grow because you don't even know the systems that you need, right? And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to offer you an opportunity and a program that could help you streamline your operations and your sales channels and your profitability, right? And so really what it was is this way to give you personalized support, like the mastermind experience, which everybody wants. And then also co-working calls, because I know at this level, there's more time that you want like this accountability and these little pushes, the community, which is gold. But also I added in a curriculum. So over the 3 months, at least in the Design to Scale lab, and actually my Inner Circle Masterminders are also going to get access to this because again, I just want to pour into all of you. We're working on so many, like not so many, but things that are going to help you refine your business, streamline your business, elevate it, and scale it. And it's going to be systems and templates and things that you can really plug into your business right now so that you can keep growing. Because again, I went to fashion school. I worked for big companies. Nobody taught me how to run a business. Nobody. So if you're somewhere there, like I know, again, you've heard me talk about the Inner Circle Mastermind, and that is for I'd say if you're on 400,000 and above to 7 figures and beyond, and you're like, I'm curious about this, I'll drop a link in the show notes. It's the productbossmastermind.com. And then we have the brand new Design to Scale lab, which is a 3-month mini mind. It's a mastermind and curriculum. And the goal here is to fully support you in your growth so that you no longer feel like you're building on this wobbly foundation, but you really feel like you've got this solid foundation, and anything you build on that can just keep growing and growing. So I'll drop the show notes in if you want. And if that's something you're interested in, you could always DM us. I'm happy to hop on a call with you because I believe in you and I want you to believe in you too. So, my friends, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this was helpful in the way that you can kind of see the path there and the things that I did in my business because I knew that I couldn't do this alone. I knew I needed community. I knew I needed a mentor to kind of get me a bit further. And the thing that I've added is really giving the curriculum and the templates and the things because it's like, well, can I just plug in instead of inventing it all? Oh my goodness, all the inventing, all the spreadsheets. Do you think a fashion designer likes a spreadsheet? Absolutely not. Like, give me a piece of paper, some scratch paper, right? So that stuff was sometimes the hardest. So I've established all the stuff, and that's really what my masterminders and my lab members are going to get. All right. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that you see that you can grow to that 6 figures and beyond, multi six, 7 figures, and it's all possible. And it's possible in 2025. So let's wrap this year and then make it happen. We'll see you in the next episode.